Hello again, everyone. It's Mark Dempsey. I'm an author and journalist, and today we're going to be talking about the Ford Motor Company. That's right, the company that wants you to know that they make some great cars and that they care about education and kids. And today we're going to be talking about one particular employee by the name of Cheryl Carrier. Now, Cheryl is the executive director of 21st Century Programs at Ford, and I think you'll find this video very, very interesting. Now, the fine folks at Ford, including Cheryl, want you to know they really do indeed care about education. And this is what Cheryl had to say about it some time ago. Education is a top priority for the Ford Motor Company, and we invest in education programs because we want to strengthen communities. Well, that sounded very interesting to me. I mean, who would not want to strengthen communities? I'm not exactly sure what that means, but it certainly sounds good, don't you think? So this is what I did. I emailed Cheryl and I told her a little bit about myself. I said I was an author and journalist, and I said that I had a project that would be very, very helpful in reducing the number of high school dropouts in this country. Because you see, 1.2 million kids drop out of school every single year in America. And that really does not bode well for the future of our country. Not only that, the project would encourage kids to read. It would encourage kids to stay in school. It would give them a love for learning. It would reach out to minority groups. And it would provide kids with some positive examples. All good things that I thought Cheryl would be very interested in because you see, she says right here, education is a top priority for the Ford Motor Company. Now, in my email to Cheryl, I also said to her that I did not want a grant or donation. I did not want any money from Ford. I made that very, very clear. So I sent that email off, hoping to get a response right away, but I did not hear from Cheryl. So the next day I gave her a call because you see her email address and her phone number are online for all to see. So I gave her a call and I spoke with her very nice assistant and I told her who I was and I said what the project was about, and she said, well, Cheryl is out of town right now and she'll be back on Monday. So she'd be sure to give her the message. And I said that'd be great. So Monday rolls around and Tuesday goes by, and Wednesday goes by, and Thursday goes by, and Friday goes by. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Cheryl never responded to my email, and she never returned my phone call about a project that I felt so deeply about a project that would help kids to stay in school, about a project that would encourage kids to read and provide kids with some positive examples. That was not worth a return phone call or a return email. But Cheryl says right here publicly, education is a top priority for the Ford Motor Company, so you can understand how discouraged I was and how disheartened I was. Because not to return a phone call or an email is really rude. It's really unprofessional. It's discourteous. I don't think it reflects well on Ford at all. I really don't. Now, not only does Cheryl wants you to believe that she cares about education, but her boss also wants you to know that he cares about education. And this is what he had to say. At Ford, education is a top priority, said Jim Villa, president of the Ford Motor Company Fund and Community Services. Sound familiar? At Ford, education is a top priority. You see, Cheryl said the exact same thing, the exact same words. So when you have two people who work for the same company on two separate occasions saying the exact same words, you know those words are not meaningful and they're not from the heart. Those words are scripted. That's what they are. They're just a script. They're a public relations announcement. You see, people always respond to what they care about. And the reason why Cheryl did not respond to me in large part, I believe, was because she really doesn't care about education. And Ford as a company doesn't care about education. Because what does Ford really care about? Ford cares about getting a tax deduction. That's what they care about. So when they give money to a nonprofit or a school or some charity, they get a tax deduction for it. And there are many companies, not just Ford, but there are many companies who will lasso a good cause like education and say, we really care about it, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to give money, but they really don't care about it because if the tax deduction went away, their charitable contributions would also go away. Okay? So when I told her I didn't want a grant or a donation, she can't get a tax deduction from me. So why even respond to Mark Dempsey? See? Now, when you take a look at what Ford has done as far as education, they do give quite a bit of money to education and so forth. But when you take a look at what they've done, what are the results? The results are dismal. They're horrible. Now, and if you need not look any further than their own backyard. Take a look at the Detroit public school system. It is horrendous, one of the worst school systems in the country, and the schools have been labeled dropout factories. That's right in their backyard. When you take a look at what Ford has done as far as contributions, have they decreased the number of dropouts in this country? No. Have they increased reading proficiency in this country? No. Have they increased math proficiency in this country? No, they haven't. They haven't done any of those things. The only weapon they have is to give money to nonprofits. But you see, that's not a weapon at all, because that doesn't really serve anybody, because there's not a positive correlation between money given and academic success. Anyone in education will tell you that. So those contributions help nonprofits to employ people, and nonprofits would never say Ford's a bad guy because it helps keep their jobs, and it also gives Ford a nice tax deduction. So there's a symbiotic relationship between nonprofits and Ford. Each helps the other, but are kids helped? And the answer to that question is no. All right? So when Ford gives money, it's very self-serving. Now, how bad are those numbers? How bad are those numbers? I've already told you a little bit about them, but can I give you some more information? Yes, I can. When you take a look at the numbers, how well we compete internationally, this is how we rank out of 34 industrialized countries. We rank 14th in reading. We are number 17 in science, and we rank, I can't believe this, 25th in math. That's right, only one other country is lower than us in math, and it's Ireland. Can you believe that? So when Ford goes out to try to look for engineers and scientists and those people who are going to make tomorrow's cars, they're going to have to look overseas because America simply won't have the talent. You see, that's why this issue is so important. Well, I must say, it was an education contacting Cheryl Carrier and the Ford Motor Company, because I wonder what it must be like to walk in every day knowing in your heart of hearts what you do really doesn't make a difference. What you do really doesn't help kids, because they really haven't done much at all. So there's really no need to respond to calls from authors and journalists like me to discuss it, because you know there are going to be some questions asked, and you don't want to answer any questions. So what we have here is a public relations effort, not a meaningful effort, in time and time and time again. Every time I test public relations announcements and efforts, and I compare them to private actions, as I've done in this case, they completely fall apart every single time. And that's what you need to know. So the next time you are in line to buy a Ford vehicle, and the next time you hear about a press release, about Ford helping people in education and so forth, you will know exactly what is going on. You will know what their intentions are. You will know that this is a public relations announcement. It's not a meaningful announcement. Words are scripted and not from the heart. And that makes a big difference, because you see, kids deserve better than that. Yes, they do. They certainly do. Kids deserve a lot better than that, because a lot of these kids are not going to have a future. And our country won't be able to compete internationally if these numbers continue. And that's why it's important, Ford Motor Company. And that's why it's important, Cheryl Carrier. And that's why I wish you had responded to me, because I really do care about this. And so when you contact Ford, don't expect to get a response. Expect to be treated like crap. That's how I was treated. Anyway, thanks so much for listening. I do appreciate your time as always. My name is Mark Dempsey. I'm an author and journalist, and you're welcome to contact me directly if you like at markd112@yahoo.com. That's markd112@yahoo.com. And thanks so much for listening.